On this show, we'll roll back the clock. We'll roll back the sunshine in the sky. Back. Season after season. As the old grow young and go inside their parent. And the animals and the spirits and the blood of our ancestors ran through the river. I've come today to tell you a story about family, about love, honor, and commitment, about a pure way of life, without all the mechanisms. There was a great brave that had taken many lives. He had fought tirelessly against another tribe. He had grown old and weak. They were sure that he had ingested a bad spirit, for he lay close to death. And so the entire tribe met for a council. The brave son, who was 14, asked to speak. He was recognized by the old man. The chief isn't the king, he's just respected for his wisdom. The boy stands, a symbol of attention. He raises his fist, points it at the sky. I give this oath. If the spirit of the trees, the beasts of the fields, and their blood which runs through our bodies as though our ancestors, I will give 100 pieces of flesh for my father to recover and become the brave he was. The council was shocked. Many times teenagers had made bold claims. Well, Indians were just people. So the old guys got together and they talked about it. They said, what should we do? What should we do? If you take 100 pieces of flesh, he'll die. You can't. You can't. You must let him out of it. He's just a boy. He didn't know what he was doing. Let's ask the old man. So the old chief, blind and incontinent, has the story told to him again because he's forgotten. Then he thinks for a moment and says something they didn't want to hear. He says, it is not right to make a vow to gods and spirits and ancestors. The boy must follow through. 100 pieces of flesh must fall. Well, the family was shattered. And as night began to fall, it got dark. They began to gather. The young boy was shitting. He was scared to death. But he wanted to save his dad. So he kneeled in front of everyone. Everyone held their breath as this heavy-set ant approached him with a quill off a cactus. The boy, brave, trying to honor his family, held out his arm. And so it began. Slowly she pricked a small sample of the boy's flesh. He's crying in silence, gritting his teeth. Everyone's watching, holding their breath. The pressure's tremendous. They can't take it. It's completely silent except for the sound of the fire. Blood begins to pour. The boy's knees begin to knock and he falls to the ground. Everyone gasps and the women in the crowd begin to cry. That's enough! That's enough! Stop this! He's too young. The old man said,
No. The gods must be appeased. It was a vow.
So the women of the group began to talk and said, this is not right. But what can we do? This is what they did. The boy's aunts, his cousins, his great aunts, and his grandmother, each one stood and took 10 on each arm. And that boy's father made an amazing recovery. He was able to go on a buffalo hunt that winter. And that young boy, with his 10 marks of flesh, forever bonded with the sisters, mothers, aunts, and cousins of his family. That boy grew up to be an honorable warrior. That boy grew up to honor his family. He actually knew his history. It meant something. Now I know it's probably a stupid story, but it was told to me by my grandmother. Later, those Indians were decimated by smallpox-infected blankets. The Spaniards would strip the Indians down and put them inside cannons and shoot them off. They were considered less than Negroes at the time, and Negroes were slaves.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. Viewers are invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight,
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
most extraordinary event of the 20th century.
It's one small step for man.
Man landing on the moon.
One giant leap for mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rocket Radio Show. This is your host, Rocket. I'm broadcasting to you live from the Broken Femur Bunker Studios. Femur zone number 10 below the radiation belt. Welcome to my show. Strap in, hold on, shut your mouth. Let's get it on.
You're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art Bell?
Yes.
Listen, man, I don't have a lot of time to talk right now, but...
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not. Were you an employee or are you now?
Former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago. I couldn't stop touching my bathing suit areas. And I've been right here in the country, and I have to be careful because I'm pretty sure they're going to triangulate on this phone call.
You can't spend a lot of time on the phone, so give us something quick.
Those little short bastards, those screens, they're aliens. They're not who they appear to be, man. Those guys are like an ayahuasca, extra-dimensional being, man. And I'm really scared about what kind of crazy shit these guys are planning with those aliens, man.
They're not doing anything.
I'm sorry. The government knows about them, and the evil plans they have, and there's a lot of safe places in the world, but the government's not moving the people there because they want to more easily control the people there left.
Discharge.
All I have to say is that
In some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or
I don't know.
it has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear? Now, you tell me because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah, real weirded out.
Like going sort of sounding paranoid,
Yeah.
schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you
Like that.
guys missed. You really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah. Because it was really strange. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Mark Furman when I
That's right.
was
Well, the network, of course, went immediately to a backup tape while we tried to figure out what blew up here. So that's what you heard happen. And then we're now on a backup link system to be on the air at all right now. So, well, I'm telling you.
Hey, everybody. You know, right about the time when the United States was seeking its independence from England, there were other cultures that were having basically Arab Spring-like moments too, primarily Russia and France. Now, these three revolutions happening very close in a time period had a lot to do with concepts like the equality of man. Now, this was taken to a new height with the communist regime, and the concept of brotherliness and fraternity was something that the French had. But both the French and the Soviets eventually destroyed themselves, and in fact, primarily when freedom-type governments are formed, they're eventually followed by anarchy, bloodshed, and then a never-ending cavalcade of despotic leaders until finally there's maybe another revolution. And so the United States, what held us together, you know, everybody bags on the Founding Fathers. Look, they held us together. After the revolution, there could have easily been anarchy, and we could have had some serious problems, and they did manage to hold us together. And what really differentiated the Founding Fathers from these other revolutionaries in these other countries is that the Founding Fathers had a deep respect for law. Now, another thing that they had an advantage of over the French and the Russians is that the United States, even though they were a colony, already had a pretty well-organized democratic local governance. And so a lot of these guys already had practice at being in a democratic republic, whereas the Soviets and the French were kind of starting from scratch. And so, you know, our Founding Fathers respected the law and desired liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness so much that they put it in the law and then followed the law. Now, right now, it's not that our country is falling apart because of its foundation, because of its construction. It's not. It's because those sons of bitches in Washington are not following the laws. We don't need to pass another law in this country, not one, until we start enforcing our border, until we start getting constitutional, go back and erase some of this crap that's been done. You know, the history of governance is actually pretty evil. You know, they lied to us. Think about all the lies, man. There's a gazillion of them. Global warming. Cigarettes don't cause cancer. Lincoln freed the slaves. We're fighting communism in Vietnam. Lie detectors work. Time is money. Jesus saves. The American Indians can sign a treaty and get fair treatment. The Civil War was about slavery. Read my lips. No new taxes. Jews eat babies. We are not flying space planes over Russia. The Boston Tea Party, the tea was thrown over by Indians. Did you know, this is true, that Gandhi ordered 10 Muslims killed for every Hindu killed? That guy's whole life is conceptualized as a lie. Freedom and liberty. Is anyone really free anywhere in this world right now? Is there really, you know, freedom and liberty? How about equality of men? See, that's multiculturalism and collectivism and communism. But see how that sounds? The equality of men. How about gun control? That's a frickin' lie. The weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. McNamara sat there at a book signing and explained in front of a bunch of veterans how that was all faked. A couple of them had wooden legs. Yeah, that's nice. How about like Stalin show trials? We didn't trade weapons with anybody, per Ronald Reagan. How about this one? Colin Powell goes up against the United Nations with this little vial of water and talks about anthrax. Now, you know what's weird about Colin Powell? You know what he's also famous for? He's also famous for being the dismissive official inspector general in the My Lai incident in Vietnam. He dismissed the whole thing. How about Al Capone's safe that Geraldo opened? How about, we're a democracy. The United States is a democracy. You see how there's all these lies? And you know, what's the greatest lie of all? People are going to say 9/11. I'd say that's the second greatest lie of all. You know what I think probably the greatest hoax of the entire history of modern times? It's the moon landing. Yep. Now, if you've never heard this before, don't think it's way out. It's not. And, you know, look at the difference in the movie quality when you watch a 1970s movie and you watch a modern movie. You know what I mean? Look at the difference between computer-generated images in, say, the 1970s compared to now, like Avatar. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you could tell it was a cartoon. So even the general public is more savvy when it comes to data and data images and all that. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures here. See this little space module here? That thing's fucking made out of aluminum. That's it. I mean, it's got some gold on it and stuff. But it's really super fucking thin. And then inside that goddamn space module is the astronauts. And they're wearing suits that are made out of vinyl and shit, right? And what they have to do is they have to go like 240,000 miles to the fucking moon. Now, all of these space shuttles and stuff where we have manned space flight and goes into the orbit, they don't ever go farther than 400 miles up. Why? Because at about 500 miles up, there's the radiation belt. You know, like Broken Femur Bunker Studios, we're under the radiation belt. Well, this radiation belt shit is so bad that there was a shuttle crew that got pretty close to it. And when these guys would close their eyes, they would see little meteors as little protons and radiation shit bounce off their retinas. Okay? So if you go through that shit, it's gonna fry you. Imagine they drape you with a lead apron to get an x-ray on your tooth, right? But these guys are supposed to wear these suits and be inside a little tin can with a bunch of photographing and film and shit and 1970s technology and fly through that radiation. It couldn't be done, man. You'd have to have like a lead shield. We still really haven't solved that problem about the radiation belt. And it can fluctuate with solar flares and get up to 1,000 times stronger. So the chances are good what happened in the Apollo missions is they were just sent up into space. They were sent up into orbit. They orbited for 8 days and came on down. And all that other shit is Hollywood made. Now, if you think about it, if those suits was what protected them from the radiation, I mean, since the spaceship was paper thin, well, it was the suits, right? And they walked around on the moon's surface, right? So they were exposed to space. It's those suits. Well, why don't they use those goddamn suits to go in and clean up nuclear reactors? They don't. They use a robot. Okay, those suits were a scam. All that shit took place on a soundstage, man. And let's see, what makes it fake? Here, I'm going to run some pictures here. Look at the shadows, man. The guy's in the shadow. There's only one light source. It's the sun. And so depending on what the trajectory, the angle is, there's only light on one side of the object and darkness on the other. That's why when you see pictures of spacecraft flying through the air, they're spinning slightly. That's because it's freezing fucking cold on one side and boiling hot on the other. And so if you just rotate your spacecraft at just the right speed, you kind of get an even rotisserie-like action, you know. You're cooling the surface and heating the surface at an even thing. If a spaceship stops spinning, it'll start to fry on one side, and then the other side will start to freeze, like deep freeze like you can't imagine. And so when you see the astronauts walking around, I mean, if you were walking in the sunlight on the moon and you stepped into the shadow of the spacecraft, if you were to throw boiling water, it would freeze in midair. Okay? Look at the flag. The flag is waving. There's no air on the moon. There's no air on the moon. None. Now these guys walked around and left a bunch of equipment. And NASA claims that they don't have a telescope that can look at the moon's surface closely enough to see the footprints and shit. Are you kidding me? with the goddamn rocks that they brought back. You want to know where those rocks came from? I'll tell you. That Braun piece of shit from Nazi Germany became involved in our space program. Yep, what happened after World War II with all the German technology is the Russians got all the hardware and the United States got all the scientists. That's one of the reasons why the Soviets were able to launch the Sputnik so quickly, but never really did much after that. That's because they were using what they got out of Germany. Where we gobbled up all those goddamn Nazis, took them right out of the trial. Now, we didn't have a lot of intelligence services in the Balkans, Russia, Germany, and so what happens is the Nazis made themselves as useful spies and helped started working with the OSS that eventually devolved into the CIA, the Mossad, and MI6. So all of the intelligence agencies are basically prototypes after the old Third Reich. And so the plan that you're seeing right now executed in general with our government is the exact kind of Mein Kampf. It's got some twists to it, but essentially it's the same kind of fascist takeover by the same motherfuckers. The Nazis didn't lose. Germany lost. Okay? Who got those German bastards out of there? Who was living in the same area as those bastards without being harassed in any way? The Pope? People. Oh, you mean all those old Catholic guys? Yep, the rat line. It snuggled out some of the most notorious, you name it, Mengele. They all got out of there. Most of them started working it for the United States. A lot of them shuttled into the Middle East. Some of them went down south. They went down in Venezuela and stuff like that, Brazil. But most of them lived. They got away. And so we took all those crazy bastards and started making our space program. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, the United States was kind of shocked when the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik. Scared the shit out of everybody. Hell, they were dropping cover shows at school at that time. So people were worried that the Russians were going to be dropping a nuclear bomb with the Sputnik. And so JFK got up there and promised that we would go to the moon before the end of the decade. Now, once they started doing this shit, that guy Braun, you know, the one that made V-2 rockets, he made the Saturn rockets, he made all those goddamn rockets. The guy's not a dummy. He said that the spaceship that would be required to go to the moon, I can't remember what he said. I think it's like 3 times the size of the frickin', Empire State Building. And yet the Saturn rocket was only like 300 feet tall. It didn't have enough fuel to make it there, man. None of the other rockets ever go past 400 miles, and this thing needs to go 240,000 miles, have the fuel to land, have the fuel to take off, and have the fuel to get back. There's no way. He actually recommended that they were trying to make 3 rocket ships. And in fact, if you look at now, it's been how many years since we've been to the moon? If they want to launch something out into outer space right now, they do it off a plane. Sometimes we'll have Russians launch it on their rockets. Notice it's hardware with our technology. But, for Americans, we have it attached to a little jet and drop it off. That's how difficult it is to get shit in outer space. And so what happened is the Sputnik came out. It scared the American population. And so to calm everybody's fears, we had to accelerate the space race. Now, this fits with JFK's mistakes he was making. JFK believed that the Soviet Union's technology was way ahead of where it really was. And their military spending had been winding down. The communists in the Soviet Union knew it wasn't working in 1956. They were preparing for the end in 1956, and it didn't happen until 1989. You know why? Because JFK misjudged his intelligence. It's always about those goddamn CIA bastards. And so they go around telling everybody they're going to go to the moon, and all these scientists start saying it isn't going to work. Now you got a bunch of other ones that are being told behind the scenes, you tell everybody it's going to work. There was an astronaut that went on record and said it wasn't going to work. Guess what happened to him? They strapped him into a goddamn space vessel and filled it with pure oxygen and killed him and 2 other ones to get rid of him. You don't think they knew that was light on fire? Come on, bruh. They killed him. They wanted him to shut up. And the sickening part is all those astronauts were sworn to secrecy and sworn to say that they didn't just drift in space for 8 days, that they really did land on the moon. moon, and they use their national popularity and celebrityship to sell products and go on speaking tours and basically be patted on the back. Can you imagine what kind of piece of shit you would feel like with everybody saying what a great astronaut you are and you knew that you really didn't land on the moon? How would the film survive through the radiation belt? How does every fucking picture that's taken on the moon so goddamn crystal clear when these guys couldn't even look into the viewfinder of that camera with all their equipment on and stuff? How did the camera pan to catch the module taking off so perfectly when there was no one there to move the tripod? Like I said, why was the flag waving? How come there's no dust on the landing gear? How come there's no fucking crater where it landed? Why is there no stars in the sky in the majority of the pictures? You know what I mean? This shit don't make sense. None of it makes sense. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you know where the moon rocks came from? That's right, that Brahm son of a bitch. He went to Antarctica. Yep, they went to Antarctica, and he personally collected a bunch of meteorites, brought them back to Canaveral, and they sandblasted them, put them in a container. I mean, they're real moon rocks, but they got here as a meteorite. They're not real. So there you go. Our entire history that we as Americans know is primarily fraudulent. The entire history that you were taught as a little kid in school is primarily wrong. I remember my second wife was from Europe, and we went to my stepson's little project day at school, and it was about famous explorers. And they had all this stuff about, all the famous explorers in there. And she started reading about the Portuguese explorers, and she was from Portugal, man, and she was saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And we walked around and looked at all the kids' projects, and those same errors regarding the date and Amerigo Vespucci and who actually discovered what was all backwards. Or maybe what she learned was all backwards. I have a feeling the Portuguese probably learned the straight poop. So the things that you were taught in school, your history's bogus, people. And on top of that, if you're under, 30 years old, the entire time you went to school, those Marxist bastards have had plans. They've been lying to everybody, kind of like making you drink fluoride, telling you it's good for you to poison you. They're telling you to go to school so they can teach you, so they can drone you the fuck out, so you don't complain, so you don't grab a pitchfork and go out in the street. So when you talk about being awake, you stand there with a glass eye and look like you're fucking retarded. They're demoralized. You are demoralized. If you go around bragging about how you got this big, extensive college education, and it's not about something technical or useful, and it's some kind of French literature bullshit, you know what? Your mind's probably gone. You're a liberal. You're retarded. Where are you going to work in, man, who's out there trying to work and support his family? Nope. That guy don't know shit. He should get less. What we should do is get as much education as we can. Maybe we can get a PhD in Islamic studies. That'll come in handy when those sons of bitches from the Muslim Brotherhood finally take over our country by outbreeding us. Okay? They're outbreeding us. Do you see how this is all connected? It's the Catholics. It's the Catholics. It's not the Zionists. It's the Catholics, man. I don't hate them, but they obviously want to control the world. I guess if I got to choose between Catholics and Muslims, I'll take Catholics. Because I'm not getting down on my face and praying 5 times a day to some insecure God. We're in trouble, people. I mean, I'm making a show every day, and it's got to where that's my main message. We are in trouble. You better start thinking about self-preservation. You know, if you're scheduling some fancy fucking vacation, you just cancel that shit and take that money and go buy you some food or some weapons or something you might need. Maybe a raincoat, maybe a pair of new boots. Maybe you ought to put that Starbucks
we can do. It's too late. And these retards have formed a mob. Do you know Obama gets this computer printout every fucking day? And what these guys do is they scan Google and Twitter, and they come up with statistics. Like they can tell where there's a flu outbreak by all the people looking up flu on Google. Well, the other thing they do, it just pisses me off. How many times have you started a YouTube and there on the little ad is, vote for gun control. You know what? Fuck you. I'm not voting for gun control. Yes or no? Are you against it? No. I'm not against the God-given alienable right. No, I'm not. And I don't think we should be torturing people either. But maybe we can just click on there, and Obama, the sweet gentle giant, can tally up the numbers and figure out what next to do and what to say to manipulate you. If you guys are watching regular television, you're done. You're done. They got you. If you sit there and watch it for more than 20 minutes, it basically don't even matter what they show on the screen. You got a blank screen. It's the blink rate. It shuts your mind off. Might as well smoke weed or something. Do Haldol. It fucks you up sitting there watching TV. It's the commercials and the guidance for your mind. Well, that's probably why you're listening to my video, because you're doing alternate media. I'm trying to protect you people, but you gotta start realizing most of the shit we've been told is lies. 9/11 is certainly a lie. We know that. And it just goes on and on and on. And I don't ever hear anybody talk about this. What would the world be like if these bastards weren't fucking with it? You know what I mean? What would the world truly be like if we didn't have the CIA putting in the Shaw? You know what I mean? What would have been the repercussions that would have not been felt if they hadn't done that? What would have been the repercussions if they wouldn't have went into the Mujahideen and armed them guys to the hilt? What would have happened with that? What would have happened if we had delayed our entry to World War II? Oh, the evil empire. No, bro. That was the Vatican. And that was George Bush, Papa Bush. We didn't have to fall into that. We really didn't. The natural chains of events that we've been taught to understand in our rational mind, a majority of the basic foundations that we use to rationalize and conceptualize what's happening in our environment is bullshit. It makes it confusing. If you're a fan of my show, that's probably the primary reason you like watching my show. One of the reasons why you like watching my show, you guys know I'm a lunatic and all this other shit. But like I said, I got more knowledge in the tip of my goddamn pinky than most of you retards out there under 30. And if you listen to my show, you can tell I'm not supported by Nike. I'm not infiltrated. Nice try. Oh, he works for Spreaker. Nice try. Ain't happening. It just means you never listen to my show. If you listen to one or two shows and you pass judgment, you're one of those TV clickers. You're too goddamn ADD to do any real research. Don't you ever fucking start convicting me and judging me by watching one show. It doesn't work like that. That's not how my shows work. And my loyalty is to my fans. I've told you over and over again, I respect my fans. I appreciate your viewership, and I respect your time. That's why I edit my videos. You don't get me sitting there at my goddamn desk talking about my cat. I love you people. We need to figure out a plan.
Mixed up news.
The government's trying to put it out there like that, so like some other places isn't being watched as much.
In other words, it's a big decoy. I see what you're saying here, and apparently we'll be back after the news, I think. Then be careful. He lost all transmit capability on this end. Here in Nevada, the transmitter went belly up suddenly for some unknown reason. I've never seen it do this all the years that we've been on the air.
Welcome to the Night Gallery. I am sitting in tonight. I am Mr. And tonight I'll be doing a little experiment. I would like to play for you a story of suspense. Old school radio. And hey, if you like it, leave a comment and we'll dig up some more of these stories. Tonight's tale is called Commuter's Ticket, which aired on CBS Radio in 1946. On with the show!
Now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world, Roma Wines present Suspense.
Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. J. Carroll Nash as star of Commuter's Ticket, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now, a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you J. Carroll Nash in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Ever ride a commuting train? If you have, you probably don't think anything of it. Not if you're one of the regulars. Commuters are just people coming from one place and on their way to going someplace else. What happens in between doesn't mean a thing. They don't remember it afterwards. They don't see the scenery. They look right at faces beside them and don't see them. I know. I used to ride the 8:15 into the city to work every morning and the 5:45 home in the evenings. Yeah, I used to ride the train. Oh, could I bother you for a match?
What? Oh, man.
Yeah, I left mine at the office. Where I work, Consolidated Press. The wire service, you know.
Don't say.
Oh, I'm not one of the reporters.
Here's a book of matches, keep 'em.
Thanks. Now, I repair teletype machines. You know, the machines that print the news when it comes in and relay it out to the newspapers all over the country.
Don't say.
Funny trades people get into. Now, me, I was a speed typist. The fellow on my shift was a telephone man. Both wind up in the same place, repairing teletype printers. It's a whole profession, you know. Most people don't know it exists. But there you are. They break down just like any other machine. Oh, what's your line?
Look, I'm sorry. These rides are the only time I have to go over my report.
Oh, sure. I didn't mean to butt in. I just thought maybe I'd seen you in the Laurel Creek station.
No, not my station.
I see a lot of people waiting for the train there, but I never get to know them. Oh, my name's Bert Gabbett.
It's all right. Keep the matches. I got another book.
You ride right along beside the same people, or the same kind of people anyway, for weeks, months, years. Nobody knows you're there. The same conductors see you every day, and still they ask you what's your station. I got so I took it for granted like any other commuter. Then I got to thinking about it again, especially on the down peninsula runs, going home to that house that didn't have any love in it anymore. I said I lived in Laurel Creek. Well, that was my station. Only where I lived was on the wrong side of the tracks. The house was so close to the tracks we couldn't have a backyard for the rails. Every time a train would go by, it'd shake the whole house. The walls would shake, the windows would rattle, the ground would shake under the foundations. It was like living on the edge of a volcano. As I walked into the house that night, the Bayside Limited was just coming through. Alva! Hey, Alva!
Who is it? That you, Bert? What are you doing home? Did you lose your job?
Wait till it gets past. I can't hear you.
What? What's that you say?
Oh, I said shut up.
What's the big idea coming home like this? Why don't you let me know?
I finished early.
We're going to get overtime. You're losing overtime.
Well, maybe I want to have dinner with my loving wife for a change.
Well, you won't. There's nothing in the house.
Well, couldn't we rustle up some scrambled eggs or something?
I told you there's nothing in the house.
What were you going to eat?
I was going out, if you want to know.
Who with?
Well, it's none of your business.
It's Alf Gorman, isn't it? You've been seeing him again, haven't you?
Well, what if I have?
I don't want you to see him. You're my wife.
Pity you didn't think of that when you moved me out here to the sticks.
Well, your boyfriends don't seem to have any trouble locating you.
You rented a house on the railroad tracks deliberately, just to punish me.
Well, you don't have to stay in it.
No, I don't, but you do. And every time that train goes by in the night, I like it. You don't sleep so good, do you, Bert? The trains get on your nerves, too, don't they? I guess that's something you didn't figure on.
Hey, maybe I figured on more than you think.
What do you say that for? And what are you simpering about?
What's the matter, Alva? You sound like you're scared of me.
Of you? Huh. Don't make me laugh. And don't make a scene when Alf comes by to pick me up. You know what happened the last time.
But it won't happen again. The laugh's on me, isn't it? I moved you to the country to keep you away from the juke joint, so he drives out here to see you.
The country. You call this the country. A shack on the railroad tracks. You bring me here. You must be crazy to think anybody could turn over a new leaf in a place like this.
Maybe I am crazy, but not the way you think.
Well, there you go again, getting that silly look on your face.
What time did you say Alf was coming to pick you up?
7 o'clock.
That's fine. That's perfect. I'll just have time to catch the 7:15 back into town and earn that overtime.
Well, what are you waiting for?
It's about time for the 6:45 to pass by, isn't it?
Yeah. Do stay and enjoy it, Bert, dear.
Honey, you don't know how much I'm going to enjoy this. Ah, there it is. Here it comes. Well, it's a minute early this evening.
Bert, what's the matter with you? What do you want with that poker?
What do you think I came home early tonight for? Give you 3 guesses.
Bert.
Nobody saw me leave the office. The watchman was asleep. He'll still be asleep when I get back. As far as the police will know, I never left there. I was there all night fixing the printers. Earning my overtime.
Bert, don't do it. You'll never get away with it. Everybody saw you coming out in the train. It'll be the same going back. You can't help seeing so many people on those trains.
What you don't know, honey. What you don't know.
I'll scream. I'll scream so loud the neighbors will hear.
Nobody's going to hear anything except this train. There's the big baby now. A nice long train. Long and loud. Go ahead. Scream your head off.
Bert, put that down. You don't know what you're doing, Bert. Get away from me. Oh, Bert, please, listen. Down, Bert. Down, Bert.
For suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you J. Carroll Nash in Commuter's Ticket, a radio play by Roy Grandy and Robert Tallman. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage J. Carroll Nash as Bert Gavin in Commuter's Ticket. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The train was gone, and so was that awful feeling inside. I just stood there looking down where I'd knocked her. In the quiet, there wasn't any reason for what I'd done. I was sorry, kind of. I didn't want her dead now. But I had to follow it through. Had to work fast. Alf was coming for it at 7. He'd find her body. Maybe they'd try to hang it on him. That was a laugh. It was just a small noise when I picked up the poker, but even that scared me. I had to wipe it off, though. Those small sounds a man makes when he's alone around a house. I heard every step I took. I'd have given anything for another train to break up the silence. But there wouldn't be another train till the one I had to get on. I had to work fast if I was going to catch it. I opened a broom closet and got out a stepladder. I set the ladder up and climbed to the top of it, feeling dizzy. What I wanted was in a pewter mug on top of the sideboard. I got it in a hurry and climbed down. It was over $2,000 in cash. I'd been saving it for a long time. I needed it now. I might not be coming back to this house. I meant to put a ladder away and streak out of there before Alf put in his appearance. The buzzer stopped me cold. It was him, all right. I could see his shadow on the frosted glass of the front door. In a minute, he tried the door. I didn't know whether it was locked or not. I didn't wait to see. I hid out the back way. The door that opened only a couple of feet from the railroad tracks. In 3 seconds flat, I was scrambling up over that great stake fence, out onto the tracks, lurching over the railroad ties. Where was the plan, that neat plan, so nobody'd see me? I had a way mapped out, but that way was out the front door. Now everybody in all the houses along the tracks could see me. Maybe not, though. People there don't look out through those dirty windows any oftener than they have to. At the station, I huddled back on a bench in the darkest corner and waited. I got on with the others, lost in the crowd. I walked through just like all the commuters. Took the first good empty seat I found. A whole seat to myself.
Mind if I sit here?
What? Oh, no.
I just thought maybe your wife.
Wife?
Well, that may be that you were holding this seat for somebody.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh, thanks. Well, say, this suits me. You know, I don't like it when there isn't somebody to talk to. Yes, sir, my name's Elmer Russell. What's yours?
You must not ride on the trains very much.
You guessed it. From what I hear, people don't meet up with each other very much, not on these commuting trains. I only use them since I'm working nights. I used to drive in. What was your name now? Hey, what'd you do to your hand?
My hand, what?
Well, you must have cut yourself. Look, it's all covered.
Oh, yeah. Well, excuse me. Just saw a friend of mine going to the car ahead. I wanted to see him on a matter of... I rushed on out of the car, my heart pounding. I went in and washed my hands. Out of all the passengers on that train, I had to get beside somebody who didn't have the commuter's habit. And blood on my hands. Well, what was the difference? Nobody ever questioned him about me. The train lurched as I started down the aisle of the next smoker.
Hey, watch it. What's the big idea?
Sorry. Train give a lurch. Sorry.
Well, you don't have to cry about it. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
What?
Help me pick up these dominoes.
Oh, go on. Chase yourself.
Hey, come back here. What's the big idea?
Gee, I should have helped him pick them up. He'd remember that my being rude. Maybe not, though. Commuters are used to rudeness. I hurried on to the next car. I shut the door behind me and leaned back against it, feeling weak and dizzy. People near me looked up and stared at me. I must have looked pretty sick, judging from the way I felt. I grabbed the first vacant seat and fell into it.
Wow, look what just dropped down from the sky.
Hey, can't keep us from having that force, can they?
Well, what's your limit, friend? 10% a point?
Now, don't tell us you don't play bridge. You'll be the first commuter I ever met on this run that didn't play bridge, huh?
Oh, sure. I play a little. I'm not very good, though. But I'll be glad to play.
Good. You keep score, Jack.
Sure.
Draw for the deal.
Well, ace of spades. Looks like your lucky night, fella.
Yeah. What's your name, by the way?
A name?
Yeah, for the score pad.
Oh, yeah, for the score pad.
Don't hold up the game, Jack. Just write down Mr. X.
Oh, that's good. Easy to remember.
My name's Sam Cartwright.
Oh, okay, Sam. All right, let's see now. Who dealt?
I played cards. What I picked up and laid down then, I can't remember. I could hardly see the spots on them. I was thinking of Alva's face, lying there in that miserable house by the tracks where I'd left her. Then it happened. The one they called Jack had just said...
Your play, Sam.
Then it happened. It was only the train going through the tunnel, but it brought it all back. A scream and the train roaring by, the whole house shaking. When I heard that squeal, my arms jerked up. What all I did, I don't know.
Well, what's the matter, Sam?
Oh, nothing.
Well, play. We won't finish your rubber at this rate.
Play, yeah. I'm sorry, Donna. I thought there was another trump out.
Sorry? Your ace takes it, chum.
Yeah, I thought you said you didn't play much, Sam.
Never seen such luck.
Your deal, Whitney.
Excuse me, gent. Got all your tickets?
Oh.
Yeah.
Guess my coat was over the seat check.
That's all right.
Hey, wait, conductor.
Yeah?
You didn't get Sam's ticket.
Yeah, Sam's too lucky. Can't let him get away with a free ride.
I was back in the other car.
Where was that?
Well, to tell the truth, I forget whether I paid or not. I'll buy a ticket, though, just to be sure. Sorry to bother you. Here, I'll just take some change out of my wallet.
Hey, there's your regular monthly commuter's ticket, isn't it?
Oh, yes, so it is. Yeah, I thought I left it home.
That's all right, Mr. Gavin.
Gavin? I thought you said your name was Cartwright.
This is my brother-in-law's ticket.
Oh, I see.
Come on, you guys. Pick up your card.
Yeah. I pass.
No bid.
Let's see. Buy me.
Never seen a rottener hand.
Me either. But Sam's going to bid, though. Sam doesn't get rotten hands.
Well, Sam, how about it?
Oh, no. No.
Hey, what's the matter with you anyway?
You look sick. What's the matter with you?
Oh, I'm all right. Leave me alone, will you?
Well, if you're going to bed, go on and bed.
All right. Just wait till the train gets by. The noise, I can't concentrate. It wasn't a passing train, not this time. It was the cards in my hand. I saw them all at once. It was a hand Culbertson might have written a book about. It was more than just a grand slam. I had every face card in the deck, but I wasn't going to be noticed on that train. I didn't even want to be remembered, no. And here I had a 7-note trump hand.
Well, come on, bid, man, bid.
Yeah, all right, sure. I guess we better have a redeal.
Where are the good cards? Somebody's got to have them.
Say, the train's getting crowded.
Sure is, mister.
Oh, I'm sorry, madam. Here, please, take my seat.
Well, thank you, dearie.
What's the idea?
Cards all over the place.
Hey, where you going?
Sorry, next is my station. So long. Well, I got out of showing that hand. But there was that abrupt departure to remember, and I'd given my seat to a woman. You don't see people giving seats to ladies very often these days. And the next car, I stopped on the aisle and stood wedged in tight by the crowd. I was shaking, so it must have attracted attention. Then a conductor came through.
Ticket. Didn't get your ticket.
Well, you punched my ticket. It was in the other car. I was playing cards, remember?
Remember? Let me think now.
No, it's all right. Here. I had my commuter's ticket. You can punch it again. Oh, here, it must be in my other pocket. Gee, where'd I put it? I couldn't have lost it.
Well, never mind this time. But after this, take your seat check along when you move from car to car. Makes a lot of trouble for us when you don't.
Then you do remember?
Well, never mind about that.
Tell me, do you remember punching my ticket? Do you remember me?
Can't say as I do. One face gets to be just like another when you work the train so long. I'll just take your word for it.
I breathed easier from then on. If that conductor didn't take any notice of me, then nobody would. Once I stopped jittering, people stopped staring at me, or maybe I just imagined they were staring at me. Nobody watching for me at the station at San Francisco. I lost myself in the crowd and was back at the building where I worked before 8 o'clock. The watchman was asleep the way I'd figured he'd be, the way I'd planned it. I'd gone into the locker room before I left there and put a slug of sleeping medicine into his coffee thermos that'd have put a horse to sleep. Now, there was no danger of his waking up, but I tiptoed past him just to make sure. I went into the big room where the printers were. They were running just like I left them. No paper snag, no carriages stuck. None of the operators had called in. If they had, I could just say I'd gone out for a sandwich. I guess I knew how to fix teletypes, all right. To keep them running or to stop them running. I fixed a couple of those so nobody could say they hadn't broken down. Of course, the papers had kicked plenty about losing all that news. My office had kicked plenty, yeah. Kicked me right into the proof of where I'd been all night. It was daylight before I left. On the way out, I tripped over the night watchman. I wanted him to see me leave, but he didn't stir. I shook him a couple of times, but he didn't wake up. So I stamped my card myself and went on my way. He'd give the right testimony in any case. He wouldn't dare admit he'd been asleep on the job. Well, I bought a newspaper and started for the depot, feeling pretty good. There wasn't anything in the paper about what I'd done to Alva. I was sure there wouldn't be. I had one eye on the city news ticker all night. Maybe Alf didn't go in. Maybe they hadn't found her body yet. That's what I kept telling myself, yeah. Yeah, that's what I kept telling myself.
Mr. Gavin?
Yeah, I'm Bert Gavin.
My name's Daniels. Detective Inspector Daniels. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Why, certainly, Inspector. What is it?
Well, first, I think you'd better give an account of your movements last evening and last night.
Oh, well, that's easy enough. I spent the whole night at Consolidated News where I work. A couple of machines broke down, and I had to stay there and repair them. Fixing the teletype printers, that's my job.
Yeah, I know. You're under arrest, Mr. Gavin, on suspicion of murder.
Oh, now, wait a minute. You're making a big mistake, Inspector. I don't know what happened here, but I've been there the whole night, and I can prove it. I've got my time card and the night watchman as a witness.
Well, you picked a mighty poor witness, Mr. Gavin.
Oh, what do you mean?
That night watchman's dead, and you know it because you killed him, didn't you, Gavin?
Oh, now, listen. I don't get it. I told you the truth. He was alive at 6 o'clock this morning. He stamped my time card.
I think we'd better go somewhere private where we can take down your statement.
Okay, but listen, Inspector, you're on the wrong track. Honestly, why did I take such pains to prove I was there last night if I was the guilty party?
Well, I suppose you figured there's no use lying about what we can prove. Your story had to check with your wives.
My wife?
Yeah. Oh, we had a little trouble locating her, but she gave us a statement.
Where'd you locate her?
In the hospital. She had a bad accident, fell off a stepladder and cracked her head on an andiron.
Oh. Is she all right?
Oh, sure. Luckily, a friend dropped in just after it happened, and they got her to the hospital in time.
Well, listen, you've got to take me there. I've got to see her right away.
Yeah, sure. After we get your statement and the money.
What money?
Why, the money you killed the watchman for, a little over $2,000, wasn't it? See, the way we got it figured, you put sleeping stuff in his coffee and then went after the safe. He came to and surprised you, so you let him have it with a wrench. Being dopey and an old guy, it was just too much for his heart. We got you cold, Gavin. Your prints are all over that wrench. Nice, fresh prints.
Oh, listen, you got me all wrong. What time did it happen?
Oh, around 7:30, the doctor figures.
Then I can prove I didn't do it. I was home at 7:15, and I took the 7:15 back to town. My wife will tell you that.
Will she? The way she told it to us, you weren't home at any time, and if I'm any judge of people, she'll stick to that story.
But I can prove I was on that train. I talked to people. I lost my commuter's ticket. The conductor will remember me.
Yeah?
Most of those people will be on the train again tonight. They'll remember. I had a 7-0 trump hand at bridge. Oh, they'll remember. Well, there must be somebody who'll remember me.
Oh, that's all right. We'll take enough trips to strike an average.
Oh, here, this woman. Hello, do you remember me?
I beg your pardon?
2 nights ago on this car. Remember I gave you a seat?
Oh, how considerate.
Do you remember me?
Let me think, dearie.
Try to place this face, lady.
No, I really couldn't, dearie, but I just wish somebody'd give me a seat now.
And I'd been afraid she'd remember me. While we walked through all the cars, I couldn't find any of the other witnesses, not even the conductor. But Daniels was understanding. He let me try the 7:15 with him the next night. I played bridge with you. I gave you my name as Sam Cartwright.
No, I'm afraid I don't place you.
But I was winning all the time. I even had a 7-0 trump hand.
Oh, I haven't seen any hands like that in years. You must have mistaken us for somebody else.
Oh, here, at last. You remember me.
Well, if you don't mind, I have this reading that
Well, we met the other night, 5 nights ago it was.
Is that so?
Yeah, I remember. You said you weren't a regular commuter, so I knew you're the one person who wouldn't forget me. Remember I cut my hand?
5 nights ago. Well, I've been riding the trains all the time since then. I'm afraid one face is getting to be much like another.
Well, that does it, Gavin. Come clean now.
But I did take the 7:15 that night. I'm telling the truth. There, that's the conductor.
Huh?
Out on the platform. Look, I found the conductor.
Why bother, Gavin?
Conductor, do you remember seeing me on this one a week ago?
Well, I'm afraid one face is pretty much
I know, but I lost my commuter ticket. We talked about it.
Lost a commuter ticket? What's the name?
Bert Gavin. Can't you remember me?
No, but I might have some tickets here. I find a few strays once in a while.
Oh, that's it. That's my ticket.
Let me see that.
My ticket. There's my name on it, see?
You found this on the 7:15?
Well, mister, couldn't say what run it was. They shuttle the cars around, you know.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
No thanks, conductor. That's all I needed.
They had me cold. For a murder I didn't commit. That was the funny part of it. Daniels was the right guy, though. He gave me one last chance to establish my alibi. At the hospital, Alva refused to see me, but Daniels agreed to see her himself and question her about my story, that I was home at the time of the murder. I waited in the corridor outside Alva's room. He was in there almost an hour.
Well, Gavin?
Did you get anywhere? Did she tell you anything?
Yeah. Yeah, she told me plenty.
She told you I was home? I couldn't have murdered the watchman?
She signed a detailed statement to that effect.
Then my alibi's good. Oh, sure, I couldn't have killed the watchman.
Oh, your alibi for the watchman will stick all right, Gavin. But I'm afraid we'll still have to hold you for murder. You see, Your wife just made a news statement telling us what actually happened when you came home.
Well, yeah, sure. We had a quarrel. I'm sorry. Matter of fact, I should have told you.
And just after she signed the statement, she passed away.
What? Dead? She's dead? Are you sure?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Gavin. Well, it's getting late. I gotta check in. You ready to go?
Yeah. You think they'll give me an inside cell?
I can get you one if you want it.
Thanks a lot. I'd like that. Nice and quiet. Away from the train.
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is J. Carroll Nash. Mr. Spear has been telling me about next Thursday's suspense show, and I must say he has whetted my appetite for it tremendously. It'll present an all-star cast of Hollywood's finest radio actors, headed by Wally Mayer, in a play which, according to Mr. Spear, contains some of the most powerful ingredients of distilled suspense that he has encountered since the now internationally famous Sorry, Wrong Number. It concerns the converging of death upon a helpless man and the unknowing conspiracy of people all over the city whom he has never even met to bury him alive. So let's all be sure and listen. Thank you.
J. Carroll Nash appeared through courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of the Technicolor musical Holiday in Mexico. Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you Wally Mayer and an all-star cast of Hollywood's finest radio actors in Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills. Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California. Suspense is broadcast from coast to coast and to our men and women overseas by shortwave and through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.